welcome. Today, uh, welcome, I'm Sean. I am going to be the Dungeon Master for a few new campaigns coming up in January. We have the White Queen today that we are working on. It is a campaign set in my own world, the Banished Worlds, where the White Queen is getting on in age, and there's not an heir or a successor named. The king died a few years ago from age, and currently the dukes and duchesses are biting at the bit, ready to lay claim to the kingdom, even if the queen is to name a successor in some cases. Each, as a result, is making moves to gain the queen's favor as well as prepare to fight for it if need be. This is a pay-to-play campaign. Expected levels are from 1 to 20, and this will be Thursday nights starting January 5th at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So today what I'll be working on is getting a few maps and creature tokens placed on the map for the first adventures that we kind of created last week. And so that is that the adventurers need to retrieve some materials to create some special daggers. Then we have something in the fields where something has been attacking livestock and um, townsfolk who have been outside at night. Adventurers needed for kitchen help, which there is a kobold, or it, and as it's written, it's a kobold, but we're gonna have to change it to something else, as kobolds are not in this region. But there is a individual that is living underneath the city and has built a tunnel network to hop between all these different places to pick up their own little knickknacks. Then we have strange sounds, where at one of the monasteries, a creature has been identified as living down in the crypts where the friars go to do prayers for the dead. And this particular creature is down where the wizards were buried. We also then have clear the bandit lair to the south. Whether it's to the south or another direction is yet to be determined because of the lack of knowledge of where the players are starting. You would think I would know, but I'm actually going to leave it quite open for the players to come up and decide where they're starting, and that will actually have influence later on how the campaign goes. So it'll be quite interesting to see. Now, um, most of these we have figured out a good amount, um, and others not so much. So we'll go ahead and hop on over to the Foundry world, and we'll start taking a look at what we got. Let me go ahead and just... There we go. Let's make it so we can see me. Well, that should change things up a little bit. Alright. So right now I'm working with one of Tom Cartos' maps. Tom Cartos is another great artist that I like to use for maps quite often. Let's see here. This one in particular is a package that he calls Into the Wilds Mountains 01, the free package. Tom has many great free maps, so I like to I personally like to keep things free for myself because, you know, I don't have too much expendable income to take care of maps and whatnot. However, going into this, looking at the map, I don't have straight up guidelines as to the size. So I like to use Grid Scaler to go ahead and get the grid size. Now he uses white lines on this, which is fine. There we go. And now my grid is pretty much perfectly lined up. Let's go into configuration and see what changes we might need to make. Let's grab a dab of green. Don't want too light. Yeah, that works fine. And let's go ahead and do a few other changes. I like doing using lock view as a module, and what I do with it is I make it so that, or I should be making it so that when I go in to a map, come on now, lock view. There we go. What I like to do is set the lock view, and then I set the initial view position so it just collects the map. And then I'll disable the pan and lock, or pan and zoom feature. So let's configure this grid just a touch. So we'll go over, yeah, looks like I was just over one, maybe two. Not bad. There we go. Perfectly squared up, and I am happy. Now then, no need for my grid lines because his is already there. Save that. Let's draw some walls. I like using terrain walls because it creates a little bit of uniqueness to it, in my opinion. Now, because of how this is set up, I am actually going to be doing something a little unique with it. But before I get too far, I do want to get these trees done first. Because I do a few things with my trees. And what I do is I'll go ahead and make the circles around the trees. And then what I'll do is I will make it so that vision only goes one way with the trees. And that people can walk under them. Now, yeah, I get that it's not realistic, but at that point, just make it difficult terrain. Oh, forgot one thing. And for trees and all that, I always make sure it's left, just for consistency's sake. It makes it easier. And there we go. Now I don't need the circle. I want hand draw. And there we go. Because now we'll go ahead and hand draw. The edge of this. And the edge of this. Now you'll notice on all of my walls, I went the same direction. Part of that is for this reason right here. Alright. And that is one direction is blocked off, and that's the right side. So if I bring in an actor, let's just drop in a character that someone used. Oh, this guy doesn't have sight. Let's give him some sight, shall we? And darkness, let's give him just 60. Yeah. There we go. Flannery here. We'll see. Now, I just dragged him and dropped him, so that's why he's able to move. We'll drop him down. Alright, now he's down on this little ledge. He cannot get back up. He has to get out. But he cannot climb up. And I do this so that if they really wanted to, now I can enforce checks to climb up. So, that's why. Alright. So, there's that. Now, this is what I love. Walling, quick, easy, done. This is why I like these small maps that allow me to do everything else theater of the mind. Let's go ahead and bring in our creatures that are supposed to be here. They are not construct, they're not aberrations either. Interesting. I did not get my... Huh, I thought I brought my twig blights in. Well, we will see about getting those guys in here another time then. Huh. Another thing I might want to also look at are other creatures as well. Now, the problem with this being like the first adventure is the players are going out into the world and exploring, which could easily provide them with chances to encounter much more powerful enemies. So this to me is kind of like the last quest they need to be going on, and the quest right now, as I have it, is called Ember Strike. And so basically the blacksmith Rosette Ember Strike, she has a smithy. She has been commissioned to create ceremonial daggers for the Dutch or Duchess for some sort of coronation or celebration of some sort. The materials that she needs, she's never had before. They were written in her father's journal. And so to possess them, the materials, she's needing some adventurers to go out and get them, because the creatures that protect the sacred location, at least the location that's sacred to them, are blocking her from doing so. So, that's where we're at with that. Now, let's go ahead and head in and see what we can do about getting something else. So, our next map, we have the inner cave. This one, normally I would try to keep all the background colors the same. This one obviously is going to be more of a gray. There we go. We're going to go ahead and do the lock view thing. And we're going to save those changes. But first I need to go ahead and grab the grid, scale it correctly. I bet you it's going to be 72 again. And we're going to configure once more. We're going to have the zoom level locked in. See, 73. I do think I overshot it though. So we're going to update. Because artists are one thing, and that is consistent. And so I highly doubt there we go. Turn that off. Save changes. Very good. Bob's your uncle. It's done. Now to wall it off, I'm going to be quick and easy on it, because again, this is a very good straightforward map. The question is how far in on the walls do I want to go? And how many walls do I want to make, because I can make this as fancy or as straightforward as I want. What I think I'll do is I'm going to actually start with getting rid of this pan and zoom lock so I can do what I need. Here we go. Let's just go off the second line and make sure we have our freehand drawing tool. Now, I'm not too worried about sticking to the exact. Just want to stay close to it. Especially on these exterior curves, because I want to be able to give those blind spots so that the players really want to search, figure out what the heck is going on there. Now, with how the adventure is set up, it's just twig lights blocking the way into some sort of sacred place. I don't know if I'm actually going to use twig blights, because why would twig blights be blocking a mine or a place with sacred ores? That sounds like something that some sort of creature that's in tune with the earth would be doing, not twig blights. So we're gonna take a look at that. Hi, Bobicus. So, not too surprised, but it is good to see someone joined. So, right now I'm going through walling up maps for the White Queen, a homebrew campaign that I'm starting up in January. Going to be Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Alright, I think we've got our wall mapped up nicely enough. So, but because we also have another campaign that I'm launching in January, Castle Strahd. You may have heard of that module before. It is a campaign that I'm going to be starting January 3rd, which is a Tuesday, also at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So, alright, well, I think I've got this map walled off, and I'm happy with how that looks. So, there we go. Moving on to the Mountain Creek, see what we can do there to get that ready. I was gonna say, did he not move diagonally? So here we've got a creek up in the mountains. Another good, easy one to set up. Let's get that done real quick. This map, however, is set up by SeaFoot Games, so aligning this is going to be a little bit different. And actually, SeaFoot Games, they had a great deal on Black Friday where I picked up this map along with about 1,000 others. But they had a deal, or part of their maps were pre-configured for Foundry. And this being one of those, trying to figure out real quickly. Alright, I'm going to have to dig later to try and get that figured out. So I'm not even going to bother with this one. I'm going to head over to the mountain edge, which I believe, yes, it is another Tom Cartos map. I do love his maps, so not surprised to see it again. So this one is going to be tricky because I have a lot of downhill lines. But let's go ahead and start with getting it all configured correctly. So configuration is going to be... Actually, I don't need those. Let's do that. I already know it's going to be a 72, just because that's the way Tom does his grids. And let's get that color. Let's go with, yeah, let's go ahead and go with a darker green. See how that goes. There we go. That looks good. And what do you know? We called it 72. And we can go ahead and get rid of the grid lines from Foundry because Tom has his own already imported. Let's go. Oh, freehand tool. Let's go ahead and see how this looks. That one got away a little bit. Okay. And let's go ahead and go up about 3 lines. See how that works. Alright, we'll go up another 3 lines or so. And last one. There we go. Here we're going to go between the first and the second for the downhill slope. Alright, I'm going to pick this up and join it with that one. There we go. And it disappeared. Alright, so apparently my alt button is having a little bit of fun with me. That's joy. And we'll keep drawing those lines. So, whoa. Alright. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and highlight all these walls. I always do the same direction so it's easy to do. The wall direction. Walls on the right. Update those. Now, we're going to go ahead and do some tree outlining. Again, I like to do eight points around the circle. So, we're going to stop selecting those and we'll do our circles. Alright, there's one. Sometimes monks and DF curvy walls don't like to cooperate, so it'll freeze up on the walling tool. But it's an easy fix, just change the tool from whatever wall type you're on to another, and it clears it up. Alright. Now, to easily select the whole circle, or the whole line that's fully connected, you just hold down Alt and click on it, and then I'm holding Shift, and that's how I'm selecting these other trees as well. Alright, there's that. Alright. Trees left. Movement done. Update. There we go. I'm actually going to copy this one, paste it here, move it so it circles that one there. Alright. Another map done. So, 3 maps done pretty quickly. It's a lot easier to map this than it is to map Curse of Strahd. Curse of Strahd has massive um, maps that are not theater of the mind inhibiting as much as they are just large battle maps. So they are very intensive and very demanding for the DM. Alright. All direction right on those, and we're done. Quick, easy, in and out. So, fortunately, I don't have any maps prepared for the rest of these. So, let's see what we got for farm. Well, that might be a possibility. Again, another map by Tom Cartos. So, let's go ahead and farm fields. Field 1. Let's go ahead and back it up. I like to go ahead and sort my maps typically by the creator within my organization. That way I know who created it. So let's go ahead and file location. As you can see, he has quite a few maps that I've got in here. So here's the farm one that we're looking for. Just from a quick look over, Crossroads looks like a good one as well. So I'm going to bring that in as well next. And I'm just not even going to wait. Crossroads. And that should be it. Alright, so we'll start with the farm field. Farm field, and then we'll do another one for Crossroads. Crossroads. Alright. Headphones died. Wonderful. Let's go ahead and get the Crossroads in. Save changes. There we go. And we'll go ahead and pull ourselves over here. Again, we already know a good amount of information just due to how we've been working with Tom's maps so far. We know it's going to be a 72 grid. Now, as for color, let's go ahead and do a light brown on this one, shall we? See how that looks. Don't care for that. So, green it is. Hopefully not too dark. Oof. Nope, that's too pea. Too much of a pea green. I guess that'll do. Alright. Save the changes. Bada bing, bada boom. It's nice when Foundry works out quite nicely with content creators' maps. Alright. There goes our grid because Tom already has a grid laid in, so it just makes it look awkward if there's multiple. Alright. Now for the walling. Now we get to have some more fun with walls because there's different types now. Alright. Start with our trees, just because they get a little funky. Yeah, I could be more specific with the trees, but I prefer to just get them done quick and easy. Because usually it's just a sight thing, not a barrier. Now these ones, since they are apple trees, it does make more sense that they can move underneath them. The last trees were pine trees. Doesn't really make too much sense that they can move under them because of how pine trees grow. But I'd just rather keep my trees consistent. Alright, so now this adventure is different in the sense of what it is. So, we are looking at something in the fields. This adventure is supposed to have scarecrows that are attacking villagers and livestock. So, it'll be interesting to see how it all turns out in the end. But definitely sticking with the farm theme. Let's go ahead and see what else I've got on these. Alright, left wall, movement none. There we go. Let's go ahead and do invisible walls for the fence lines. And that is just going to be done with the freehand tool, not a circle. There we go. The music that I'm playing is Ivan Duchess playlist found on Foundry. This is his free music. And like I said, I'm rather cheapskate right now, but I do plan on joining a number of Patreons once I get the chance. Yeah, that wall just turned out like crap. So let's go ahead and take it off freehand though, because there is something special with this one. Where it's got a gate in here actually. So I definitely want to make sure to make it so they can interact with it. Alright, here we go. Is the door. There we go. Now, players can interact with it. Open and close. And last wall is going to be down here. Quick little one-liner. And there we go. Crossroads done. Farm field. This shouldn't be too bad. Let's just... Oh, no, we gotta configure things first. Crossroads, farm field. Alright, that's not too bad. And let's go with... Well, let's do this. Configuration. Let's just keep it consistent. From farm field, or from the crossroads to the farm field. There we go. Grid is going to be 72, we know that. Opacity set to 0. Oh, don't need to lock those. There we go. Farm field configuration, there we go. Alright, now we can do our walling. The problem with doing your walling first is once you correct the grid lines, then moves the walling accordingly. Or it doesn't move the walling, it scales the map accordingly. So you lose where your walls are supposed to be. So Bobicus, do you normally play using Foundry or do you use other systems? Play in person, owlbear, and roll 20. Alright, very nice. DM or just a player? I'll take silence as inconclusive. No, not really. But, yeah, awesome. I've gotten into playing myself, both with all three, but I think myself as a player is foremost. Very nice. Nothing wrong with getting to play and as getting to DM as well. I think it's a bit of a chore for everybody. Just some of us enjoy it more than playing, which I found to be the case for me. I actually got started with D&D back when the pandemic started, back in 2020. And so I've only ever played online. I did try playing in person one time, and just it quickly lost its appeal to me. So I've stuck to online play only. There we go. With the fields here, I'm trying to create shadow effects. So I'm going to do just these lines, and movement's not restricted. Alright, now to grab our trees again. There we go. Now, set those so that they're the correct restrictions. There we go. And this one is a door because it is a gate. That's one thing I do wish I could change, is the icon for the door here. That would be a nice little change. Alright. I'm actually happy with how fast we're getting through these maps. Now, they did talk about putting scarecrows in. Obviously, you gotta put a scarecrow where there's a scarecrow. How can you not? And just because I don't know what the party is going to be like. Ooh, I don't like how that's set up. Let's go ahead and edit my creatures. Name. Hover by owner. Take a token disposition. These guys are going to be hostile. And there we go. Alright, now let's do this again. There we go. Now make them invisible. Copy. As I said, I don't know how many players are going to be in. Ooh, that's one thing I don't care for. Is it's not automatically rolling hit points. Oh, that's probably another setting I need to work on. Great. So, more notes. Love it. White Queen. Roll hit die. So one thing I like is rolling the hit dice for my tokens. And this is part of why I prep well in advance, is then I don't have to have consistent stats for enemies. I know there used to be a module that was for Foundry that would actually roll a 1d4 and subtract 2 for their ability scores as well. So you would have quite a bit of variance. And that was nice. But it has not been updated since version 8 of Foundry. And now that we're on version 10, I don't think it's going to get a reboot anytime soon, which is unfortunate. Alright. Yeah. Kandashi's Randomizer NPC. Actually, let me see if I have that module. Ooh, random. Randomizer NPC, I do have that. Oh, apparently it's all last for 7.7. Though, let's see here. Yeah, I am looking at that. Apparently I have an older one because it says that as of April 6th it was updated for version 9. So I might have to go check and see if I can update it, but let's also see if I can just reload the game with that new module. Alright, back onto the activated scene, which is not the farm field. Let's go here. Let's go ahead and delete these guys. And we're going to go ahead and bring back... Oh, we're going to go ahead and configure the settings. Let's see if this works. Oh, hello. There we go. Yep, see? Randomize ability score. Circulation randomization. This is the calculation applied to every stat of randomized creatures. Now, I hope I don't have to put in the random names of all the creatures, because trust me, that's going to get very long. So let's just see if it works. No. Oh boy. um, save changes. Alright, let's try this again. Don't hear dice rolling. I don't see health changes. And I'm not seeing ability score changes. Alright, so I'm going to say that module is probably dead, which is unfortunate. Separate with a colon, semicolon. Dang, that's a shame. Well, we're going to just disable that because it's not a useful module. And there we go. Alright. Let's go ahead and change to the current track because this one's gotten a little stuck. Oh, or it's just the only one on the playlist. Aha. Let's see what we've got for the forest. Stop the camp now. Alright, turn the volume down a touch and we should be good. That's still a bit loud. At least when it's actually making a good amount of noise. The violin part's pretty quiet. Alright. So, let's go ahead and see what else we got set up for campaign-wise. Alright. So, kind of want something that is reminiscent of like a sawmill. Or not a sawmill. Sawmill's just what I was reading. Of a sewer system. Now, I know I've seen a few maps on my end that are like that. So, let's go ahead and take a look and see if we can find something else. Or something that I've got in here. That looks interesting. Still not quite what we're after. Well, actually, could be of some use. Hmm. That's a tentative one. That one is Ratman's Poison Sewer Layer um, by SeaFoot Games. So we'll keep that in mind. Let's see here. This one is the Undercity Sewer Chambers, also by SeaFoot Games. Not quite what we're looking for there. It's always interesting because like you have this idea of what you want, and then it's just getting it to work right. This is basically a variant of the last one we just saw. So still not right. This actually might work out. What I might do is I might just use a section of this and let the rest of it be theater of the mind. Let's go ahead and do this. Only issue I have really is all the ironwork, like the valves and whatnot, because this is definitely a high fantasy setting for me. So I don't really want it to be quite that. So let's see here. Part of my problem is I've got way too many maps that pop up with sewer. Sewer hideout. Nope, not what I'm looking for. Actually, that may actually work really well for the bandit layer, but gotta figure out. Well, I don't have to figure it out, but I want to figure out this map. Sorry if you see multiples of the same ones again, just because now I'm going top to bottom instead of just jumping to one that I think is going to work good. That's definitely not it. Here we go. This might work out great. Um, so this is from Heroic Maps. Don't know too much about them. This is pretty much my first time encountering them. This is going to work perfect, this map here. So, here we go. I'm going to use both of those. Let's make a folder just so I can get rid of these extra folders. Last Bridge, Ironport, Prison, and the Cursed Mine. Those are one-shots that I've ran in the Kingdom, but don't feel like keeping them in view at all times. So, here we go. Kitchen help. Go ahead and throw in the sewers. sewer bedroom. Now, the nice thing about it having two beds is I can have it be for two individuals. Because what kid wants to be alone when they're stealing stuff? I love how I tried to adjust the volume on the... Oh, because it was in that song. That'd be why. Alright, scenes. Battle maps. Silkmore Kingdom. Again, gotta change the... or add a map location, or folder. And we're going with heroic maps. And we're gonna choose those two. Okay. Alright. Open file location. There we go. Alright. Let's go take a look at this map, shall we? Kitchen help, sewer bedrooms. Alright. This grid needs work. Alright, configuration. Oh, nope, let's do this grid scalar Y. So much quicker. I'm gonna go roughly there to here. That looks like it should be to scale. Now this is a tight quarters area. And actually this whole adventure might end up just being theater of the mind. Depending on how the players play it out. So, let's go ahead and configure this a little bit more. We're going to have that there. We're going to drop her to pick up this one here. Now, this is going to be a fun map because... Ooh, that's loud. This is going to be a fun map because of all the different walls we're going to be doing. And then we're also going to be doing lighting thanks to these torches. So, here we go. Let's go ahead and... We do want the... do we want the grid though? I think we're good without the grid, really. Oh, wow. That's a big grid size. 332 grid size. Oof. Save changes. The nice thing is the grid still plays a factor. Let's go ahead and get this walled up, shall we? I will say the one gripe I do have is that they made the walls so frickin' thick. I mean, it makes it easy for... Oh, makes it easy for getting all the... a little extra padding. But still, it's just killer. Alright, so I'm going to do a circle, this one, because of how the curve is. There we go. That's about right. I'm going to flip the circle around, and I'm only going to do half circle, because that's all I need. And done. And that's one trick I noticed is DF curving monks don't play well with curved or half curved, so they'll create that little extra tab. Alright. Now the rest of this is pretty straightforward. Oh, we got a little tighter on that than I want, so I'm going to just pull that out just a touch. There we go. That way the players can see the walls. Alright, let's go ahead and jump in. We're going to add some doors. Because, you know, it's nobody's weakness or anything. Especially when they're unlocked. That's always fun. Alright, now, lights. Lights are fun. Let's go ahead and, let's see here. No macros. Alright. So, these torches are not going to be as bright as your normal torches. But let's go ahead and grab the coloration. I don't need it so intense though. Animation is obviously going to be a torch. Advanced options, restrained by walls, of course. Coloration technique, I'm just going to leave it as adaptive. Shadows, no. Contrast, oh yeah. Give it a little bit of contrast. I like that. That looks good. Saturation, nah. We'll just leave that though alone. Alright, here we go. I don't like decimals. So let's go ahead, just do 16 and 8. There was one other thing I did like to do, and that was change this to 1. That way the grade of transition is much greater. So let's go ahead, plop this in the middle of that torch. We're going to copy this torch, make 2 more, place them centered on the torches. Now, one nice thing about using lights like this is you see where you missed your walls. There we go. Walling is done, lighting is done. Now, I'll need to figure out what children are in here. And figure out like a backstory. Like, are they a family? Trying to survive together? And what's in the chests? Because you put a chest in a room, players are going for that second. If there's enemies, that's first. If there's a chest, that's second. So, that's what we got there. Alright, let's see what we can do for this other map that we were looking at. Sewer. It's got a boat. Let's just go sewer boat. And we're gonna go. Let's see here. I'm going to grab one more thing from this one here, and that is the color. I like consistency. There we go. Now, if I go to my lights, I should still have that light copied. The only issue, I need to get my grid lined up. Go here to there. It's kind of hard to tell, so I can get rid of that. What I can do is I can make my lines bolder, but that still doesn't help too much. Change them to red. Alright, now we can see how our grid lines up. That's actually pretty darn good. I'm happy with it. So, get rid of that, change it back to 0, save changes. Now, obviously, things got realigned. So, our torch there, there and there. And once we get our walls set up, then we'll have some differences to notice. So, just draw basic walls, just like we did last time. One thing I try to do is keep wall count low if possible. Go right there. This curve's a bit long, so we'll just do 3. Alright. Probably should zoom out a little bit, I think. Now, what I could do, might do actually, before I get too far along, yeah, let's do that. I'm going to combine these two. So what I need is I need some numbers off of here. So, see my width and height? I'm going to have to compare that to this one. Oof, boy. The question is, where am I putting the bedrooms in comparison to the sewer boat? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the bedrooms attached to this side over here. So, right over here. There we go. There's my pings. I'm going to put it up there. So this is going to be a little tricky. So let's just do this. We're going to make it 5,000 by 5,000. And the image, we're going to delete. And we're going to have to manually configure this because lock view will not work on this. Save changes. Alright, so this lighter area is where I'm going to be able to work with. Walls, I'm going to delete all of them. So, here's what we're doing instead. We're going to bring in our map pieces. Right here. Now, having it set to 322 actually works really well. Because that gets the image to scale. Oh, there we go. There we go. Only issue is I didn't go wide enough. So let's configure this sewer boat And we'll just rename this to sewer. And we're gonna have to grid size, width. The height was pretty spot on actually. I'm gonna go 4950. Yeah, we'll just leave it at 5,000. Doesn't hurt anything. We're gonna add another 500. It should go a little past. There we go. Oh, let's go ahead and grab my 2 tiles, scoot them over. Perfect. See, just passed. Might have been able to get away with like 480 or something like that. Ooh, but the height is not happy. It's time to play Operation. I don't like that little seam, personally, but I also have to do this. I have to turn my grid back on. Let's go full strength with red. I do red because that is a highly visible color for me. Oh, that was confusing. Alright, that looks better. Configure. Ah, I noticed something that's one of my pet peeves. The grid's not lining up with the image. That explains why up here it wasn't working right. So height-wise, I think I'm gonna have to add probably another 100, 150. Let's just add 250 to be safe. Alright, we're gonna select both of these. I want to move them together. See? I'm gonna have to drag and drop. Because really, if I drag this one down, there we go. That should get everybody lined up just right. Except somehow, I think this one got moved again. Oh, it's trying to snap to grid. Way around that is to hold shift. Now that looks better. Move our lighting where I need it. I'm able to place those exactly where I want them with shift. And 3 more. Oop. There we go. Now what I can do is I can go to the bedroom, copy my walls, head over to the sewer, paste, grab my walls, and place them where I had them. Pretty darn spot on. There we go. Doors were the only exception. Quick and easy fix. Let's get those on. delete this one. Keep that one. Just copy. Alright. So I don't pull both tokens, or both points. Just do that. Alright. Now then, just polish this off real quick, and should be good to go. What I think I'll do, so describing the sewers, the wet, dirty, grimy water sloshing through. As the players finally make their way to this little opening to assumingly another part of town, another inn maybe, or maybe granary or something, they'll find this little boat. Nobody else uses it. They haven't seen a boat. So they'll go in, try and figure out who it belongs to. And that's where these two orphans will be. I guess we'll really find out if they're murder hobos at that point. Hopefully they're not. But, there's consequences. That's what an adaptive world is for. So, let's see what we can do. Let's get these walls done real quick. That's the other nice thing about keeping the grid on that I forgot about. So it makes it easy to find the snap points for the grid. Now these little alcoves, I'm leaving unwalled just because I kind of want to do circle tool on those. There we go. There's that. Let's get this last section. There we go. Pull this one back just a touch. Alright. Circle down and wide. And one more. There we go. And we don't need so many points. That right there with 5 should be more than enough. Give it that curve appeal. Just rotate it. There we go. Excellent. We are walled. We are lit. We've got a little bit of a good story going on. I think we have a good map. So we have gotten 3 adventures walled off, mapped off. Need to play around with some modules to get the last remaining details working with tokens before I start importing all my creatures. I did miss that a little bit. Trimming off the excess walls that are of no value. Mountain Edge. Very nice. This is a map from SeaFoot Games that I'm going to try and import instead because I do have their module. Just need to figure out how to get it to work. Alright. Well, I know it's a little early, but I think we're going to go ahead and call it for a night. We've gone through 3 of the starting adventures. I still need to find one for Strange Sounds where there is a creature down in the temple. Or not in the temple, but the crypts. And then clearing out a bandit lair. So, thanks for joining. It's actually been a pretty good session. Got a lot of maps pumped out and ready for probably about 5-6 sessions. So that's a good start in my opinion. Till next time, have fun at playing D&D.